Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to what may be misery. I don't know. So, hello and welcome again to trying to learn Godot. It's a struggle. We're going from the ground up. I hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody's weekend's going well. I was off work this week, so, you know, it's hard to complain too much about the week. However, now we might be starting at the struggle bus. So, the goal today is to make a cannon for our ship, our box ship. That's the goal. And it's probably going to be a challenge. Largely because this one I think is going to need tutorial online, and it is hard to find exactly what I need. So we're going to see what we can find. So there's one that people like about turret rotate and elevate toward a target, but I don't, that's target tracking. I don't know if it's actually going to learn to fire a projectile. Then there was another one that I found that was about projectiles, but then I see lots of people commenting that it is actually broken, probably in one of the recent updates. So I don't know if that one's any good. Of note, I did go back and I fixed my water shader, so now it does waves again. Look at that water shader doing water things. So I got water shader that I just followed a tutorial for. I've not gotten buoyancy yet based on the shader, but I do have water. We can get to the buoyancy later. For now, I just gotta figure out how to, like, make a projectile. I mean, this one is a very... It's so short. Could this possibly actually cover what I need? I need how to shoot projectiles, learn Godot. Maybe that's what I need. I mean, it's shooting balls. Okay. This is maybe promising. Okay. So here's, this one has no talking, I guess. Okay, so they're gonna... So we make... What is it exactly he's making here? The fireball. So is this the scene for just the projectile? So create new scene, 3D scene. Can't... Shell. Let's just go with cannon shell for now. He switches this to... How did he change that? He's right click. Oh, change type. Area 3D. Area 3D. Okay, so we now have an area 3D. Add mesh instance 3D. This makes sense to me. Mesh Instance 3D. This is just giving it an appearance. And we can just grab a sphere mesh. I'm sure that's what he's going to do. Yep, sphere mesh. Material. Does he just give it a basic material? Standard material 3D. Okay, so then we can change the albedo, what he does. I'm not really gonna be doing the same thing he is. We're just gonna make it sort of black-ish, gray, dark gray. That seems fine. All right, we're giving it a color. It's not really important. Okay, obviously now we add the collision. Collision shape 3D. And then, of course, that is also going to be a sphere shape. Self-created effect with GPU particle. Oh, yeah, okay, great. I'm not going to add an effect. Okay. So now we... plus cannon shell.gd. Sure. Create. So now we have attached the script for the coding. So we eliminate everything except for the function process. Export variable speed. Okay, that makes sense. At export speed equals export variable damage. Sure, I will, but I don't actually need to export their damage. That doesn't matter right now because I don't have any form of health, but I will need it. Get variable director get tree get first node and group player dot global transform basis dot z. Dot normalize. Of course, we got the normalizing again. Okay. Oh, okay. I see what we're doing here. Air direction equals get tree dot get first node and dot get first node and group player dot global transform dot global. This is making an assumption that transform basis dot z global transform basis dot z dot normalize with a d normalize global position plus equals. Okay. Global. I need you to be smaller so I can actually. Global position plus equals direction times speed. Right. Direction we're creating here. Speed we know. Times delta. Right. And times delta. Hey guys, how's it going? We are in fact trying to learn. That is what we are trying to do. Add signal. Okay, we're now going to be trying to use filter or signals, which is something I have not used. Okay, so where did you find this signal? No. Okay, so we came over here. Signals. Add signal body entered. Body entered. On body entered. Connect. Interesting. Oh, you're not working tomorrow? Nice. That's always nice. I'm sad because tomorrow is my last day before I go back to work. I was off last week, and now... Hey, nice. I'm sure you paid out the ass for that, because it's bullshit. Okay, so this has more things than his does. Hopefully that's not going to cause me distress. If body.is in group enemies. Bro, he's making assumptions. Okay. Sure. If body.is in group enemies. Yeah, it's such bullshit how much shit costs. Body dot take damage. Bro, he's making so many assumptions. Take damage. Damage. Q free. What is the Q free for? Q free. Q free. Explain. Cues this node to be deleted at the end of the current frame. When deleted, all of its children are deleted as well, and all references to the node and its children become invalid. I see. Unlike with object free, the node is not deleted instantly, and it can still be accessed before deletion. It is also safe to call queue free multiple times. Use object.isQueued for deletion to check if the node will be deleted at the end of the frame. Note, the node will only be freed after all other deferred calls are finished. Using this method is not always the same as calling object free through object.callDeferred. Okay, this makes sense. This leaves the object in existence for the frame to complete all of its processing, and then it gets rid of it. Easy. Understood. What about some of this other stuff? Body.take damage. This is not... What about is in group? Returns true if this node has been added to the given group. See add to group and remove from group. See also notes in the description and the scene trees group methods. Add to group. Add to group. Group string name persistent bool. Adds to the node to the group. Groups can be helpful to organize a subset of nodes, for example, enemies or collectibles. See notes in the description and the group methods in scene tree. If persistent is true, the group will be stored when saved inside a packed scene. All groups created and displayed in the groups doc are persistent. Note, to improve performance, the order of group names is not guaranteed and may vary between project runs. Therefore, do not rely on the group order. Note, scene trees group methods will not work on this node if not inside the tree. Okay, so the thing that actually matters really is this. This is the collision. So we could actually get rid of this, and this should just delete it when it runs into a body, which I think, let's just start from there. You got bragging rights. I know, right? It freaking... I had one of my friends who had gotten a prepackaged sort of gaming PC for her son. Plural? One son? Whatever, doesn't matter. Her son. Like several years back. And they were complaining about how, like, it's out of date now and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, she's very not, you know, like, online or tech savvy so much. And I was like, I hope you are prepared for, like, the cost of making a new thing or, like, building it or buying a new one. Because it's crazy right now. So, at some point, she talked about paying me to take a look at what it is. Hey, Kiri, welcome back. It's going. It's off to a maybe a decent start. We're following a tutorial just because I needed to understand how the pieces go together. The goal, of course, being to make a cannon or make something that shoots something, right? Like, and I was not entirely clear how to get that started. So we make a scene for the cannon shell, first of all and foremost. I've done a little bit less than the tutorial did. This seems to be the big ticket here of finding a direction and then, you know, giving it a new global position, I guess, and then on body entered, getting rid of it. Or, in this case, you know, applying damage or doing some effect. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to, like, try to get it to hit literally anything. Have there been grumblings of DDR6 coming about yet? I haven't, honestly, I have not been paying very much attention to the future of hardware just because of that, how bad a mess it is right now. Like, I just, whatever. On the upside, it sounds like, at least for AMD's next CPUs, they're going to be on the same, like, motherboard set, the same chipset. So you can actually just, you can get an upgraded CPU at least, which is something. You know, we got that. That's not entirely consumer negative. Wait, what did you just transform? Hold on. You fixed a mistake. This is what transform dot basis dot z. Freaking, I understand the whole, like, get transform. Oh, I did not add that. Get tree dot get first player. I didn't even finish this. Oh no, I did. I just don't have enough space. Dot global transform dot basis dot z dot normalized. All right, let's see how this goes. So this exists. Now we need to give it something to... Okay, so now we have a scene. We need to make a new scene. And this is the cannon that will fire it. He's doing a dragon, but that doesn't matter. I need a little more space. Let me try to pull this over here and then... I don't know, maybe pull this over here. Okay, so we have a cannon, and then what are you doing? Okay, so this is going to be a character body 3D. Wait, that's a little confusing. I guess we'll just roll with that. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, okay, sure. Change type, character, body 3D. Okay, so he's just added his mesh and shit. This is where... What the... What did you do? This is what annoys me. Dragon, armature, skeleton, dragon, animation player. I need you to freaking do less shit without actually explaining things. I am well aware that that is in fact a dragon. I don't think any of the shit is actually necessary on the upside. So I think... Because, like, so he adds that, but what we would add is just another mesh 3D. And then we can give the mesh 3D. This one can be a box. Box. What are you editing so much shit? Add a marker 3D. Marker 3D. Okay, so... Yeah, so this is not exactly what we... Well, it's fine. We'll learn. So you have put the marker 3D in front, essentially probably where the projectile is going to be coming out. Which we could just put in front of our box. Let's put it like right at the top corner of our box, which is a stupid place for it, but it is visible. We're just trying to get this shit to work. And then we're adding a camera, right, which is not really what we need, because we need to combine this, or like we need to be a module that gets added to a pre-existing character. That is not an unreasonable perspective, Kiri. That's... Oh, you know what? I put the marker on the wrong side. I think. It's transforming. It's just moving the position. That's fine. I don't care. I don't need this to be correct. Okay, so now we need the dragon code. Or in our case, the canon code. Script, canon, create. Okay, so what the heck? What the heck? God, he's pulling in so much shit. I hate when they make this degree of assumptions. Dragon code. Yeah, you have a bunch of shit on. Okay, so on marker, on ready, marker 3D. Constant fireball preload. Dragon should fly right, left, and up, down. So we're adding direction. This is. No, you're fine. You're fine, Kiri. Okay, so we're making a function for shoot fireball. Variable fireball node equals fireball dot instantiate. Get, hold on, get parent dot add child fireball node. Now what's the last thing they said? Fireball dot node global position equals marker 3D dot global position. Okay, so constant fireball equals preload, and so then it's just grabbing the scene, which makes sense. And then we're making a new function for shooting the fireball. So variable fireball node. And then we get the parent and add the child. Fireball node dot global position equals. So that's just giving it. Okay. This makes sense. So what we are doing with this. So we have made a function which he has not yet called, I don't think. Or did he? Did he add that to like... Yes. He's adding it to the physics process. If input is action just pressed attack. Okay. Is action just pressed? Interesting. Is action just pressed? So presumably is action just pressed prevents it from being like held down. Project settings. Left click. Okay, so we can... We'll just use that name. Well, we'll make a new one, I guess. Fire cannon. Yeah, that's fine. Add left mouse button. Okay. Okay, so then we need within... Why is it within the physics process? You know what? It doesn't matter. Because it could be the physics process, or it could be the... regular process. If input dot is action just pressed. Fire. What the hell did I call it? Fire cannon? Why are you complaining? Expected colon after if condition. Oh. Of course. Slash fire underscore fire cannon. And then we, just as he did, we do the function fire cannon. Okay, so we need our variable of, this would be cannon shell node equals, oh, he added, that's right, we didn't add our constant cannon shell. I should just call it shell. Well, that would be not very clear. Preload resource cannon shell T scene. Yeah, it's, eventually mine would definitely be within the physics process, because this is using like a character body 3D, whereas mine eventually will just be doing would be a rigid body 3D, which would definitely be physics related. Nodes equals cannon shell dot instantiate. Nope. Instantiate. Right, and then this is get parent dot add child. Get parent dot add child, and this is the cannon shell node. Armal node dot, oh right, and then we set the position. Yeah, okay. Cannon shell node dot global position equals, and to do that we get that marker 3D dot global position. Marker 3D dot global position. No, well, no. I don't expect, you're right. The cannons themselves will not be rigid bodies. The projectiles they fire, however, maybe? I don't... No, surely you wouldn't want them to be rigid bodies. That would really only... Oof. I mean, you could, but then you'd have to be doing things like adding wind and shit. Like, you could if you were going to be complicated, but I don't think I'm going to be that complicated. So maybe there would be no rigid bodies involved. Well, because, yeah, we do get, like, calculation with physics for free if we make the projectile the rigid body. Because then it, like... And was this a rigid body? No, this was using an area 3D instead of any kind of rigid body. It's fine. We're just making it simple right now. So this should then work hypothetically. So what we are doing, let's talk through it so that we could, input not declared in this current scope. If input is not, What? What do you mean input isn't? It extends character body 3D. Doesn't that cover inputs? If input is action just pressed. Oh, input needs to be capitalized? Oh, you're right. Thank you. Good call. Good catch. That is in fact the difference. I don't know why it took so long for it to complain about that. Okay. So, very simply, we have a cannon shell, which essentially upon existence, it has a speed inherent to it. It finds the direction that the player is facing. And then it moves by assigning its global position based on that direction, the speed, and the delta. And delta, just time shit. That's my understanding of delta, is just it normalizes for frame rate and time and stuff. And so direction, speed, delta to move in a consistent way. If it hits something, it cues. It uncues. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. Because technically, I feel like you should actually put something in here to ensure that it gets uncued eventually, regardless. Like, there's nothing to stop this from existing permanently if it doesn't hit an object. Unless there is some kind of automatic garbage collection. Exactly. The delta is just, yes. That's my understanding of delta. It just does shit. It's the time so that shit works. So if we take the cannon and we run the scene. I don't have a good background. Hold on. He actually does this at the end. What is it that you have to add? It's like the... Oh, yeah. It's this. Add sun to scene. Add environment to scene. Just to give it light and things. Okay, hold on. Nope, that's not... It does not appear to work. Oh, unless... Here, let's put this a little further forward. Because maybe it might be occupying, entering a body. Oh, that's not what we want. Ooh, is this... That might be case sensitive. Stupid ass case sensitive shit. Cannon. Cancel incident. If input is action, fire cannon. Okay, yeah. I was not correct on capitalization. Ah! Invalid access to property or key global position on a base object of type marker 3D. Can I, like, get... Invalid access. Why is he allowed to do this and I am not? Mark3D dot. Oh, hold on. Where is your why is he underscored? What is going on with this underscore naming that he's got here? Marker underscore 3D dot global position. Where did he? Oh, he did. Yes. Okay. And $ marker 3D. That you have to have given this access as unique. No, that's for the percent. $ marker 3D. Is that because it's part of this? Okay, that's fine. We can make this happen. I missed him doing that. At onReady var marker 3D equals $ marker 3D. Oh, drag the node in. I forget about that as the navigation mechanism. Okay, so then we do this, and it's still grumbling. Invalidate access to global transform on a base object of type. Yes. Okay. This is what I expected to happen. This is the issue with this is that he is using this node in group player to get the global transform, which is not something I was doing. Which this should just be like, what, like self? Does self work? Is that, because this is just ours. No, this is the cannon shell. This would not be self. This would be the cannon. So then the alternative, I suppose, would be to make sure that this is within that group player. I'm not quite sure where he does that, though. DragonPlayer.gd. You would think it would be in there somewhere. I don't see anything within that that indicates he is setting it. Yeah. Godot groups identify player node. Up right next to signals. Grouped. Interesting. In this case, this node has no shape. Oh, it has no collision. That's fine for the moment. Cannon groups. to a group. Complete guide to groups in Godot 4.4, and it is approximately 2 minutes.
You can download the art seen in the video for free, link in the description. To add a node to a group, simply go to the node tab and select groups. From here, press the plus. Here we can set the name
not
and
the way the tabs work
if we're
right
using
now.
global.
Hey, bro, what? Could we not have it at 360p? Thanks.
Groups. From here,
Node,
press the plus.
Groups.
Here we can set the name.
Plus. Oh, I see. Plus. And then this was player. Was it lowercase player or uppercase player? Player. It's lowercase. Plus player. Create. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's scene groups or global groups.
And description if we're using global. Leaving it unchecked will make the group a scene group, which is a type of group that persists only within the scene that the group is created in. Although, keep in mind that if different scenes use the same group name, then they will be treated as the same group. Global groups are groups that persist through the game and across different scenes.
That makes sense. Oh, wait. Actually, just convert to global group. Yes. Node is in this group player. Okay.
And levels. The use case of global groups could be something like UI elements that exist across levels or audio related systems. If you create a scene group, then all nodes within that scene will have a checkbox to put them inside that group. Alternatively, if you make it a global group, then any scene will have that checkbox as well. Alternatively, you could use the add to group function instead. If you have nodes in a global group, then you can go to project settings, select globals, then go to the groups tab. From here, we can double click the name and rename it, or we can change the description by double clicking it, as well as deleting the group. If you leave delete references from all scenes unchecked, then nodes that are added to the global group will simply convert that group to a scene group. This tab is important for dealing with global groups and managing them, especially if you have many global groups within your game. With the groups established and added to the nodes in your game, you can now use many different useful functions. First is a simpler for loop that searches through every node of a specific group, which is handy as you don't have to deal with the scene tree hierarchy. Next, you can set a variable within the nodes of a group. If the variable doesn't exist, then simply nothing will happen to that node. Additionally, you can call a function from each node in the group, and you can call a notification from each node. Keep in mind that if you are using a custom notification, then you will need to have this built-in notification function inside of the nodes of the group. Finally, you can also check whether a specific node is in a specific group or not.
Coughing up a lot of information. Okay, that generally made sense though. Okay, so now we have a global group to which the cannon belongs. And it is player. So it should be able to find the direction, which long term may not be what we want. But for now, we just want to fire something. Like for now, we'll just continue with this. Okay, so now I thought that this was going to be backwards. Okay. It did the thing though. On the upside, cannon shell this should actually be like a negative direction. Well, actually, I don't know why it's going backwards. Aside from the fact that, like, global transform.basis z normalized, but like forward is always like the negative z direction for some reason. I don't know why. And that seems to be assuming that it is not that. Yay. It does a thing. Well, hold on. You know what? Maybe it's not fair to say that it's wrong. Perhaps it is merely my own fault for assuming, because I guess I treated negative Z as forward, but I feel like negative Z is usually, for some reason, forwards in Godot. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I can just, you know, fix it. Yeah, see? There we go. Although the inspector, camera, transform, 180. Okay. We can shoot. We shoot balls that never cease to exist. I think. Yeah, like they go forever. Okay. Great. That's interesting. So let's delete the camera. And let's try. Correct. That is correct. This is the most basic way to produce a projectile. It is not using physics at all. It is simply moving it in a fixed direction. So we're mostly because I'm just trying to understand how these things kind of go together. So like now if I add cannon, not under the pivot, under the player. Hold on. No. Delete this. So if we add this to the player, I'm curious. So if we move this and we just sit it on top, it just pulled in the scene. Does that shit just work? Is the grand question. So now if we go here and we play this scene. So now our steering works. I still have my debug shit in here. Moving forward still works. Does firing work? Oh my god. It just does the thing. Ah, but interesting. So it is... Interesting. So it's fixed its position within the player position. So it does not make a sort of permanent movement globally. What? Okay. Interesting. That's not what I would have expected based on the fact that we have used... Creating things here is much more annoying than IRL. Yeah. A little bit. So... Huh. So we're specifically setting a global position. What if we cut directly to using a rigid body instead. Because if we would get a lot more of this for free. Because, like, I could sit here and fight about, like, oh, how do we actually... Wait, what does his look like? Why does his... Oh, of course. His is fine. So once he does this, because he can fire and move, and it keeps its position. So... this global position is not actually global. Because what seems to be happening, so we have put the cannon as a child under the player 3D. And so it seems like the player 3D space is global to the canon, not true global? Sort of? Is that what... Is that what we're working with? It should be the global position. The issue must be... Why does it... Oh, no. His movement is fundamentally different. We're only getting the Z transform normalized. His specifically works because he's not rotating. We are rotating. So this sort of fundamentally doesn't jive with what he's doing. Because he is making the assumption that the Z plane is like just forward at all times. But that's not true. Because he's getting the Z of player as direction, and then modifying global position by that direction. So it will always be in front of in that direction. So that's the crux of the issue. And it kind of becomes, how would one fix it? But I don't know if we should. So if we change this type to a rigid body 3D, so now we're working with a rigid body 3D. And so this direction actually works. We're not working with a speed. We're working with force, essentially. Force. Export variable force. And now we need to apply an impulse. So we have a direction, which is at this moment forward. And so similarly to what we were doing here, we didn't integrate forces. Do we need to integrate forces really though? We could skip a lot of that. I don't actually need these now, because we actually have made progress. Physics process. Right, so... No, we do want an imp. integrate force. So state dot apply. Rust. Oh my god. It's so complicated. The physics. Right. So state apply force. Thrust dot rotated. Vector 3 up. Rotation Y. Variable rotation direction. And then, how does this actually... I have to relearn what I did last time. Where's the force actually being applied? Where are we applying... So we have thrust. We're changing the rotation. There we go. Applying torque. So, state dot apply torque. So, now for the cannon shell. We would want... Oh, shit. Where... Okay, so this wouldn't be as part of the process, necessarily. We would want this to be... Function... integrate forces... State... Why is this different than what you're trying to give me automatically here? Do I need all of this? What is happening? Function integrate forces. So first and foremost, we need this variable. Direction. So we get the direction of where the front of the cannon is facing, which is what this is doing right now. We then, similar to here, we would want, so it would be a state dot no, that It's a little more complicated because we don't want this to happen every... In integrate forces, it's going to happen every frame. Just like if it's in physics process or process, it happens every frame. The other method was using every frame because it was just moving constantly. I see. So I can keep that around. I don't know why the other one didn't have it. I must have removed it when following suit with a tutorial. Okay, so this... I don't... Oh my god. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to drastically and quickly think about this, and I'm not doing a very good job of describing what the issue is. So, the other thing, where it was process, did something every frame, which was to move it. But if we switch this to a rigid body, we don't actually want to apply a force every frame. What we want is to simply apply the force the single time when it's created. We want to, like, create it and immediately apply a force. Like, there's like a state dot apply central impulse. What is an impulse versus a force? Applies a directional impulse without affecting rotation. An impulse is time independent. Applying an impulse every frame would result in a frame rate dependent force. For this reason, it should only be used when simulating one-time impacts. Use the _force functions otherwise. This is the equivalent to using apply impulse at the body's center of mass. Apply impulse applies a positioned impulse to the body. An impulse is time independent. Applying an impulse every frame would result in a frame rate dependent force. For this reason, it should only be used when simulating. Yeah, so we want to apply an impulse when we create the thing. So yeah, the thing is I'm a little unclear. Because the thing about the integrate forces function is it is something that happens every frame. It does the integrate forces prior to then doing the physics process. Integrate forces and then the physics process. So I don't know how much we're going to need this now. We've moved beyond using that for the moment. So yeah, we want the impulse, but I'm a little unclear how I would add I guess I could also just search. Okay, so Godot apply force on object creation. I know how vaguely to apply a force to a rigid body. I need to connect it up. So we have the cannon, we have the function. So we instantiate. Can we modify the instantiation? Method description bool can instantiate. Node instantiate. Instantiates the scene's node hierarchy. Triggers child scene instantiations. Triggers a node.notification scene instantiated notification on the root node. Can we add things to the instantiation? Add functions to Godot scene instantiation. How do we modify the instantiation? Static function. Wait, I came up with a reasonably elegant solution. Function with data. Ah. So it instantiate if... Am I thinking too hard? If it instantiates it, if I just... So it instantiates a cannon shell. Get parent, add child. So add child. What does add child do? This is not add child. This is get parent. Get parent returns this node's parent node, or null if the node doesn't have a parent. Add child. Okay, if you want a child to be persisted to a packed scene, you must set owner in addition to calling a child. Oh, here we go. Add child. Adds a child node. Nodes can have any number of children, but every child must have a unique name. Child nodes are automatically deleted when the parent node is deleted, so an entire scene can be removed by deleting its topmost node. Force readable name. Internal blah 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 blah. Okay, so maybe what I actually just need to do is no, because I need the integrate forces because we're using state.apply central impulse. Chat disconnected. Okay, you're back. Thanks, YouTube and or OBS, whichever one was responsible for that. Huh. So yeah, I feel like we need the state. But if we do this, yeah, probably the super El Nino. So then this gets a vector 3. Pulse is time independent, applying an impulse every frame. So let's just do the experimentation, right? So we need to get a vector 3, which we were doing here to get our vector state.apply force thrust.rotated. So it would be this. So we have well, and here we had instantiated, we set up thrust here. Has a speed. Okay, so it wouldn't be this state. Oh, lordy. Because this... What kind of variable is this? Tree global transform basis z normalized. So this ends up being just a number, right? Because we've normalized this, so this ends up being a number between -1 and 1 because we've normalized it, I think. We had a massive 10-minute storm earlier this morning. It has been pretty frequent storms around here as well. We had some last night for sure. We had some like a couple nights ago. They haven't been too crazy, but they are frequent. So how do we find the vector? Because here we were finding our vector. Okay, hold on. Export variable. Let's do this. Export variable force. equals 10. And so this would be force. Apply, apply central impulse. Force.rotated vector 3 up rotation.y. So this gives it a forward trajectory, which is not actually totally what we want. We will need this to arc. But at the very least, let's see if this will fire and then what will happen. Okay. As expected, it accelerates. Specifically in that direction. Weird. Okay, weird things are happening. Bizarro things are happening. Okay, that's funny. But we're in the right ballpark. I don't precisely know why gravity didn't work. Globals. General gravity. Physics. 3D. Run on separate thread. Physics engine jolt. Default gravity. We have. Default gravity vector. Yep. So gravity should function. Maybe it's this impulse. I don't know. I kind of assumed... No, we shouldn't need to add gravity for a rigid body. Because, and why I know that is because when we start the scene, you'll notice how the player box, right? It falls because it has the gravity. Like, it falls down and it lands on the little platform because it has collision with the platform. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me that applying the force to move around correctly goes in the right direction, but this doesn't. Well, weird things are happening to that. I don't know. Ice physics achieved. Yeah. The direction is because you're not really rotating the cannon shell. Well, yeah, yes. I guess you're right. No, you're correct. You are correct. That's why it's always the same direction. Which I guess would be fine if we can just get this, like... I don't understand how, Godot, apply impulse force. Rigid body 3D. I just need an impulse explanation. How I would apply impulse.
Hey, what is up, guys? I'm gonna zero.
It's about a year ago. All right, let's see what we got here. This is talking about applying impulses.
Tutorial here on the channel. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to apply impulse to rigid bodies in Godot. So there are two different ways I'm going to be teaching how to do this today. So the first one's going to be a lot more generalized, where I just teach the basics of applying impulse to a rigid body. And then the second thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be teaching you guys how to actually allow your player to push around an object using the apply impulse function. So if you guys do enjoy this tutorial, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by creating a new scene. So as you guys can see here, I've actually already got like a basic level already set up. It's just a floor. And then we're going to be adding the player into it soon. I've already got a player already set up as well. But yeah, we will be adding that into the level soon when we do get to doing that in the tutorial. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new scene, and it's going to be a 3D scene. And then what you want to do is you want to go right click on your node 3D here, and then you want to go change the type of the node. And what we're going to do is we're going to be changing the type of a node
rigid body, assumedly,
to a rigid body 3D.
Right.
So now when you've done that, you can rename it if you want to. Just double click. I'm going to be renaming this to box, since my rigid body 3D is just going to be a box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click again, then we're going to go add child node. And then this time we're going to be adding a collision shape 3D.
Sure.
So collision shape 3Ds apply collision to our object. So depending on the shape that you set for your collision shape, that will be the type of collision that is applied to that object. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set a box shape 3D for my collision. You guys can do what you want, of course. It doesn't really matter. And then we're going to click on the parent node here again. Then we're going to go right click.
Presumably you're going to add a mesh.
And this time I'm going to add a mesh instance 3D. So then our object actually has visuals. And I'm just going to be using a box mesh for this. Again, you guys can use what you want to, of course, for your object. And then be sure to save your scene as well, just by pressing Ctrl and S at the same time. I do recommend creating a scenes folder. You can just press the little icon here to create a new folder. What everybody suggests. And then so just saving your scene into your scenes folder, as so. So then what we're going to do is we're going to click onto our parent node here again. And then where it says script empty on the inspector menu, you want to click where it says empty, new script. And then we're going to create a new script. So I do recommend that you do create a new scripts folder if you haven't. I do recommend that you create a scripts folder if you haven't already. You can just click on the folder here in order to do that.
Make the script. Yep. Understood. I understand.
If you haven't already.
We'll go forward.
Yeah, so I'm just going to be typing in scripts here since I've already got a scripts folder. So I'm just going to be saving it into that specific path.
This is all useful information, but I'm on it.
And boom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the ready function since we won't be needing this. And then with the process function here, what we're going to be doing is just after the underscore, we're going to be adding in physics and then underscore again. So then it is physics process. So so he's the physics process function.
Not going to use the integrate forces.
When we're working with physics in our scripts, we want to make sure that we do it in the physics process function. So then all that is, all okay and nothing's wrong there. So yeah.
Maybe we don't need the integrate physics
what we're gonna do
or integrate forces.
For this example in the tutorial is we're going to be pressing some keys, and depending on what keys we press, that will apply impulse to our object in certain directions. So if you haven't already in your project, what you want to do is you want to go project, then project settings. Then as you can see here, we have our input map. So if you're not already on the input map tab, what you do is you just switch from general to input map, and then boom, you see what I'm seeing here.
Yes,
As you
buttons.
can see, I've got
Got it.
the
Added
jump
buttons.
is how
Understood.
you add,
I gotcha.
you just press the plus. I'll be assigned to
Yep.
my.
Yep.
So what we're going to do here in the physics process function is we're going to write if input dot is action just pressed, and I'm going to be doing up as an example for this, and then we're going to do the 2 dots and an indent. And so when it comes to applying impulse to an object in Godot, to a rigid body in Godot, it is very, very simple. It's literally only a singular line of code. So what we do is we go apply underscore impulse. And then what we do is we want to apply the direction and the speed
impulse
of
is all
which
it
the
needs.
impulse is applied. So what I'm going to do here for this example is I'm going to do basis.z, since that will be moving the object on its z-axis, which I'm pretty sure is forward in Godot. And then you want to do multiplied by the speed of which you want the impulse to be applied. So for this example, I'm going to be doing 5.0. You guys can do what you want to, of course, and then boom. So that there is how you apply impulse.
Interesting. Okay, so very straightforward, just on the physics process. He needed an if statement. The question, of course, is that, I mean, I guess we could also still be doing this on integrate forces. The question becomes, what is our if? Like, if self dot like, how do we know that something is just... I mean, the stupid way to do this would just be to give it like a count, essentially, and be like a variable variable fired equals false, right? Func underscore ready is the thing that happens once. Func underscore ready. Can I do something physics in there, though? So, like, if I apply impulse, I mean, is it not going to like that? Basis dot z times force. And we can just have force be a number. 10. Does this work? Func ready. Apply impulse. Are you gonna get along with this? I don't know if it's gonna get along with this. This seems like a long shot. I'll be damned. It's why are you getting the forces applied rotationally from... So it... Okay, for one, it is not correctly firing it in the direction. It's always going that way. Which is kind of a fun trick, to be fair. I did forget the learning music. All right, the music's back. So, okay. How... Yeah, it's... Well, I don't quite understand how to... I need it to not be parented, I guess. Actually, I don't understand. I don't understand why it does this. Huh. Why does it do this? Canon. Physics process. Canon shell. Instantiate get parent dot add child. It's this. Maybe. I was trying to find, like, exactly that tutorial, and I was having a hard-ass time for some reason. Godot shoot rigid body bullet. Making that. Why are they so old? Like, the videos that come up are like 6 years old. That's not going to be helpful. Like, it'll sort of cover it and stop giving me freaking... Quite frankly, I put a huge amount of blame on the shitstorm that is Google. Like, you can't search fucking anything anymore because they AI-ified their shitty-ass search. I can't find friggin' anything. Function physics process delta. Whom is this for? Are you thinking this is for the cannon shell? What does this do? Function physics process delta. Expected end of statement after variable declaration found identifier instead. Oh, you're just pulling shit? Okay. So here's why I'm a little confused. I don't know, like I'm just gonna talk it out. It's odd to me that when I shoot a projectile, it still moves entirely. Like the space around the player moves all of the balls, which would make sense if they were directly parented, like a parent-child node relationship. But the cannon shell is not directly connected. The cannon... So we have our player, and within the player, we have our cannon. The cannon doesn't actually have the cannon shell as a child. It has the marker 3D, which we only use... Is this not a one-time thing? Is this not setting the global position numerically to the global position, but rather like actually giving it the reference to the global position, which is why these are moving as this global position is moving? Global position translation of this node in global space relative to the world. This is equivalent to the global transform.origin. Global basis? The basis of the global transform property represents it. Well, and that's what I would think. But so once the initial location has been created for the cannon shell, there is it's got to be related to this getParent.addChild, right? Like who is the parent? Does this instantiate cause the cannon shell to be a child of the cannon? How do you make it not a child? Cannon shell.instantiate. Get tree.addChild. Don't think that'll help. I think... Well, actually, it might. Get... So, because this would make it a child of the top level, right? So this would be like directly under the scene, a child of the scene rather than a child of the, presumably the cannon, which would be something that we want, actually. Did not like that. Invalid call, non-existent function, add child and base scene tree. Get parent. I was wondering about where that would be. So look at the remote tab in the nodes panel. It'll show you the nodes panel. Nodes panel. What nodes panel? Oh, here. S3D, player 3D, cannon. Yeah, okay. So the cannon shell is being childed to the player. Because it's right here. Which is exactly why rotations applied to the player would, of course, apply to this. Which makes sense. How do I get... Oh. Queue free. Function on timer timeout. Queue free. That is actually something that I was wondering about, actually. Func on timer timeout. Queue free. How do we set a timer? Yeah, I remember seeing timer. Hold on, where's... Godot timer. This is probably quite easy, to be fair. One-shot timer without instantiating a node. Right, so this would be func ready, and it would be timer dot. How do we set up a timer? Function on timer timeout, do something. But then how do we set and start the timer? There's a tutorial. No, that I would like to just see the sample code if possible. I mean, is this just a matter of like timer? So just like timer dot identifier timer in class body. How about here? Timer dot new. Timer dot new. Timer dot start. Starts the timer, resets the timer if it was started already. Fails if the timer is not inside the scene tree. Get tree dot create timer time. I'm here float timeout connect function name here. So this would be get dot tree dot create function tree not found in. Is this supposed to be an underscore? Get underscore tree? Get tree. I think it is. Dot create timer. Okay, we're making progress. Create timer. Time. So 10 seconds seems fine. For now. Dot timeout dot connect. On timer timeout. Maybe. Okay, well, we've got a timer. That was a slight distraction from what I was actually trying to do. What was I trying to do? Shoot. Right. We have learned that this is, in fact, set to this. So this is probably the wrong way to do this, but I'm going to try it anyway. So if this is get parent dot get parent dot add child, is that going to step it far enough out that it's no longer tied to our player? Because now it should have escaped far enough. Yes, it is, in fact. The direction is still fixed. And we want to be getting... Okay, one problem solved. Now, we need it to be going in the correct direction, which it is clearly not. Which we can hypothetically do by doing the same sort of thing we did here when we were apply force dot rotated. So if we copy this and here where we are, so this we need again to be 0, 0, 10. Equals, what is this, colon 3 vector? 3. Apply impulse. So this is going to be force dot rotated. Hold on. I had copied the whole thing here. This should be force dot rotated. Vector 3 dot up. Rotation dot y. Let's try that. Damn it. It is not... It's still doing that. I don't understand. The movement works. The timer did work, by the by. They do seem to die after 10 seconds. Look at that. Timer worked. So that's good. Why is this not... Apply impulse. Force dot rotated. Oh, of course. Because, as you mentioned earlier, we're not rotating the ball. The ball always has the facing. We're rotating the ship. You said that. How do we get the player's rotation? So we would want to, I mean, we have the cannon. So if we set the cannon's vector to that, but then how do we send the cannon's vector when we try to create instantiate? So like, can we send more information when we instantiate? Node instantiate edit state. Instantiates the scene node hierarchy. Triggers child scene instantiations. Triggers node.notification scene instantiated notification on the retreat. So I know this is a thing that you can do. You can, like, send information along. Like, clumsy coding that I haven't tried to use meaningfully. So, like, I would... Normally, I would expect this to be like an init. Some kind of an init function. Func init. But I don't know if that's something we can do. I mean, hey, you sent the on timer timeout function that got us going the right direction on the timer, at least. So like that's what I would normally expect. Godot, instantiate scene with arguments. Instantiating scene with arguments. Stack Overflow. Wish to grammatically create blank slots on this board. Use the static constructor. This avoids preloading the packed scene. Static function constructor. I'm not quite sure what they're saying. It's more complicated than I want. God, it's so frustrating. I feel like I'm close. I just need to be able to point it in a direction. How do I send? I mean, I guess how I could write a new. I'm all for a hint. By all means. Like, I guess I could write like a custom function, right? Rather than on ready doing this, it could be like function. I don't know why it always has the underscores at the beginning. That just seems to be a thing they do. Like fire shell, right? And then like on the cannon, I would need to then cannon shell. Actually, I would need this argument to be like direction vector 3. Use the get parent here. And you can get parent dot rotation. That. So that wouldn't necessarily work because of the change that I made to decouple. So this. So that is contrary to what I did in order to get. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't finish it. It's fine. Go away. What are you complaining about? File in use, locked or lacking permissions. Oh, because I was. Yeah. What is your friggin' problem? Stop your complaining. Canada. Did Can you chill? What is your fucking problem, bro? Oh, because I have... Well, not really. It failed to start, and then it was just going to complain at me. Okay. So... I can't use the getParent.rotation because of what I did in order to decouple the cannon shells. They are instantiated and created outside of the cannon. And so they were outside of the cannon so that they don't rotate with the cannon. But also, by them being outside of the cannon, they can't query their parent to find the rotation because that's not their parent anymore. So I don't believe I can use the get parent. I could hypothetically use the tree directly, right? But I don't know if that's really a very graceful way to do it. Time for the cannonballs, but they got shit to do. They're too busy. They're not interested in being parents, and I can relate. That's right. They're orphans, just the way I like it. Sad and alone, which hopefully doesn't make life way harder later. I mean, honestly, almost everything I'm doing right now I expect will be entirely changed in the future. Like, none of this will be probably anywhere remotely close to any kind of finalized game. But the point is not necessarily to get functioning stuff out. It's to actually, like, run into these problems and then try to fix them. Like, that's literally how you learn. And also why just have an AI do it is terrible advice. Not that anybody here is giving that advice, of course, but because if you do that, then you don't understand how it happened, and you can't fix anything later. You are not becoming better at anything by doing that. So make the cannon be accessible as a unique name. So I think that is a reasonable solution for now. It will not be a solution long term, because the expectation will be to add multiple cannons. And so I think that will then not be viable. Does the player have a face? No. The player will be a ship. And the ship does not strictly have a face. For now, we will go ahead and find the cannon this way, though. It might be one of those things that I'll have to sit down with my... I have a friend in real life who I have tried to work with before, and we're just bad at staying like focused and on task. It's very difficult to like schedule time to do things, which is why I'm just like every Saturday I'm gonna try to do this on stream, because it's a time I have set aside and I can like actually learn and get better and whatever. I think this will probably be I'm kind of like building a collection of, I tried to do this and I think I did it like shit. And my friend is like an actual developer that I work with. Well, I used to work with. We still work at the same company. I was on a team with him and I am on a different team now. And so like, I'll have to just like sit down with him for a few hours and be like, hey, I think I made this super shitty. Can we talk about code review and like what I should be doing instead? And then I will have to rework everything, but I will at least understand how I got to where I got, and will then be able to understand like the advice and the change, and then I will be able to move forward in doing something. So I've got a couple of those. I want to better understand how to get the buoyancy to work, or even if, so slight tangent, right? I have this water shader, which I followed a tutorial for, which actually has like waves and stuff. Can he do that on stream? Possibly. I can ask if he's open to doing that on stream and being on stream. And there's a way to try to use the vertex positions of this shader to sort of do buoyancy so you can actually float on top of the thing. But it didn't work when I tried to do it because the tutorials were from two different people. And so the second person had like renamed some stuff and like variables and things, and so it was like it was not fluid, and so I couldn't get it to work. But I also just broadly have the question is like, is this the approach that should be taken to doing buoyancy? Exactly. Right. And so I'm like, I don't know if I should try to do, like, if there's some other way to do fluid mechanics, right? Like, oh, no, here's just the liquid node or whatever. Like, if I could actually use a fluid, or if it's just the better idea to use a shader and then to just mock floating, right? Like, I just don't know. Like, and I know that he had been experimenting with Godot at least enough that he did have like a sailing ship and sailing mechanics functioning, and I don't know how he did it. I don't know what like mechanisms he had gone about to do. So like, that's one of the big questions I want to ask him is like, how should I work about floating and stuff like that? And then as well as maybe I should come up with a better way of doing the canon stuff. Hey, Scobalts, how's it going? Okay, so we have now made canon available. So we then need to onReady var. Similarly, this should be canon equals, this is percent. Is there a reason that we can't? Because this was just dragged in the same way, right? Can I just do this similarly and not actually make this available uniquely from here? This should still work, right? And so then this would be... This is not where I wanted this. this needs to be... This is not the right... You go away. This should be here. Unready variable cannon, cannon. And so then this would be... How's game dev go? It is going moderately. All you know is that for games, the best way is always about selling the realism instead of calculating it. Yeah, and that's kind of why I had went the route of the shader, because it's like... Destination... Okay, and so the marker 3D on this works because it's actually just literally, it is a child. So we do need this to be this, and then this would be this, so that we have it on hand. And so you had put something, accessible unique is a variable in canon. You can use that variable.rotation. Okay, so then apply impulse force dot rotated and then I guess this would be canon dot rotation dot y, possibly. And then we try to do this, and I broke. Valid access to property or key rotation on a base object of type null instance. Null instance? That's no bueno. Why don't you... Why are you null? I made you available. I made you available. Please respond. Up? Vector3.up is like the vertical axis is what this is doing. Because the way this is working, so we have force.rotated, which this is force, and it's got a strength of 10 in the direction of z, and it's rotated around the vertical axis, hence the up, by this degrees. Except it's not even finding canon, so I'm not entirely sure what to do with that. Why are you not available? Is this not the right place to do this? Did I do this here? No, I can't do that there. Instantiate the scene. It still has a parent, right? Before you do add child. When I instantiate, I do. You can go func init canon equals get parent. So on the cannon shell, I can, in fact, as I was thinking, like, do func init here. Cannon equals get parent. Oh. I guess I could just instantiate that. Cannon equals get parent. Like so. Hypothetically. Nope, it doesn't like that. It's still null. I don't know if this is correct though. I didn't like, is this a automatically? Is this a thing that, okay, yeah, init. Called when the object script is instantiated, oftentimes after the object is initialized in memory. It can also be also defined to take in parameters. This method is similar to a constructor in most programming languages. Okay, hold on. How do we go about it? Can also be defined to take in parameters. How do I do that? Is this cuz well, so can I just do this like direction maybe like vector3 direction? Cuz I could just send we could use the init, and then we could actually set like a var dir equals direction. Why don't you like this? Invalid access to property or key rotation on a base object of type null instance. That's not what we're talking about right now. Stop complaining about that. What's this issue? Expected closing parentheses after function parameters. Like that? Vector3 gets parentheses? After function parameters. Do I not need that? Is it just this? Vector3. Type vector3. How do I... How do I... So we get a vector3. Is it this way? Direction vector3. Oh, colon. Direction vector3. That's a syntax issue right there. It's like, I don't know how you want me to put this. Thank you. Direction colon var dir equals direction. And so now we can then use, we don't need this. So actually then we would just do apply impulse direction. No, dir here. No, we need this to be out here. Var dir. Dir equals direction. Direction comes in, dir direction. apply impulse to the direction. And so then here, when we are instantiating cannon shell, it is at this time that we would send the same sort of thing we did here. Oh, shoot. Force. No, we just want our... We don't want this to be a vector 3. Because we want to use force. Okay, so this is not a vector 3. This is just float, I guess. And it's not direction. Parent rotation. Rotation. Float. Rotation. Parent rotation. Because we want this to still be this sort of rust. So this is force dot rotated vector 3 dot up, and this is rotation dot y, and then the cannon would be sending, what is this, like self dot rotation dot y. Argument 1 should be backseating, but is float. Valid argument for instantiate. Okay, then how do I use the init? So I have an init. Whoa, what are you complaining about? Rotation redefined. Original and native class, rigid body. Oh. Fine. Rot. And this would just be rot. Bro, why are you still complaining? Built-in type cannot be used as a name on its own? Oh, for freak's sake, my dude. Parent, rot. Parent, rot. You're still... What are you complaining about? Why are you so unhappy about this, huh? I don't need the equals. That's why. That's the issue. Rot. Okay, so how do I actually send this in it? Init. Called when the object script is instantiated, oftentimes after the object is initialized in memory. Or it can also be defined to take in parameters. This method... Okay, but where do the parameters come from? I mean, what? Would this be like cannon shell node dot init? And then this would be self dot rotation dot y? Is that what you want? If this works, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. No reason. This should not succeed. I should not. Yeah, I don't deserve this win. Non-existent function init in base rigid body 3D. I don't believe you. I no. Hey, Seaweaver. I don't... How... Okay. Back to the internet. using Godot init function. How does init work? It's a callback that she's called during the constructor of the script instance. However, you must note that it is a callback for the script. If you load this script and call .new on it, then you'll be able to pass in your parameters. Open ready. However, the init method is required to have a valid parameterless form. That is, it must be init, or it must have default values for all arguments. Thus, it is possible to call with no arguments and still have a valid call. I feel like this is not the correct way to do what I'm trying to do. Oh. Yes, I do need to do the underscore. At the very least. Too many arguments for init. Expected at most 0, but received 1. I hate you. I hate you so much. You're so full of shit. I very explicitly... Making me so mad. Making me so mad. So this is... Is this doing anything? It is. It's setting its location. So we can take our cannon shell node and we can set its global position. Does that mean how do we export? Mark the volume exported editable in the inspector documents. Okay. Can we just modify this directly? If we're here and we say cannon shell node dot how do we... I mean, I guess I could literally just make a... Hold on. Function set rotation. If I just freaking do it dot set hold on, you go away, you are no longer needed. Cannon shell node dot set rotation. And this ends a float, so then this would be self dot rotation dot y. Does that work? Can I just do it regular ass code way of just call the goddamn rotation set rotation function and then also apply the position? It's like if we're applying the position that way, we should be able to apply the rotation. Just ship it the number. No, you hate that too. Invalid access to a property or key rotation on a base object of type character body 3D canon.gd. Canon. Goddamn. Spelling error? Row. Yep. Thank you. Problem solved. Rowation. This is... Honestly, this is why this is helpful, because it's kind of like pair programming. I have, like, you know, backup to notice things. God, what? Ooh, it's still doing it. Ah, I hate it. God damn it. God damn it. God damn it. Why doesn't this work? Oh, I know. I've been here plenty of times before. Rotation of this node. I guess I don't need the self. This could just be rotation.y, can't it? So that does match up with here. That is what we are using in this one. Thrust.rotated, vector3.up, rotation.y. That works here. You know what we need? What we need is I need to print rot. No, I had gone through that process a bit ago as well. I was like, oh, I need the vector 3. I was like, no, not in this case. I need to form the vector 3 because I need those force value, and then I need to rotate it. I did the same thing you just did a bit ago as well. Okay, so let's print whatever the fuck this value is and see if it's getting set. It is always 0. Of course it is. It's not rotating, the goddamn ship is. Of course. What this needs to be is get parent. Again, does this need to be get? No. Get dot parent? Is that get dot parent dot? What's the get parent that you keep referencing? What's the syntax on that? I'm trying to scroll back through chat to find it. Oh, get underscore parent. It's literally right in front of my face. Get parent dot rotation dot y. So this should get the rotation of not the cannon, but the player object, which should now actually be the correct... God damn it! The value is changing, though. That is actually sending the right value. I don't believe the force is being applied correctly. That is progress. So I think I know why. So we're setting the rotation after the ready. So what we need is not for this to be as part of ready. We need a new function, fire, void. And within that, we actually apply the force. And so in the cannon, we then do the same thing where we cannon shell node dot fire. And so now, ooh, yes. Oh my God, we've done it. Interestingly, I don't necessarily know if this is what I want, but it I think it inherits some of the rotational velocity as well, as if we're like whipping around. Make the shell go zoom. That's true. We do need the shell to go much faster. We also want the shell to be much smaller. Scale. Where's your transform? Yeah. Collision scale should also be... I don't know if this is the right way to make things different sizes, honestly. This is how I would do things in Unity when I'm making my model stuff, is to just shift the scale, but that might not be ideal under the circumstances. Okay, so then within the script, this we want to be like... 1,000? I mean, 1,000? And we could also have it time out after, I mean, like 2 seconds. Ooh. You can't see shit. It goes so fast. I don't want it to go that fast. 100. 4 seconds. Yeah. I think this is fine. I also want it to be bigger. That is, in fact, too small. 4. Does that now give the shell rotation? No. No. I refuse. No. Really what I do... What am I... Yeah, that is my benefit of being on the other side of any kind of, you know, friggin' YouTube compression, I'm sure. I don't know if you can see that now a little better. But we can see them. Oh, there we go. We can see it in when it crosses over that. Oh, for one, I don't need this to print now because we figured it out. Rifle the barrel. So the thing that we actually will need to do, well, there's a couple things we need to do. One, we can't aim like a cannon. Like, that's actually the bigger issue, is that it doesn't aim properly. I don't know if I have it in me to go through and try to do that level of adjustment, because it's draining to think that hard about something that I have to, like, literally teach myself to do in this way. But what I want to do instead, well, it's a couple things. One, where do I... Yeah, okay. This viewport height sucks. 1920 by 1080. Let's do that, at least to set that a little better. One thing that I wanted to do as well, which is a little more straightforward, is within the player 3D, instead of... So movement will not be by holding down the button. The eventual intention is for you to set a throttle and then it just goes, right? So the intention would be, instead of using directly this sort of thrust vector, I guess we would set this initially to 0. And we would want a... So this would not be exported. Instead, we would be exporting max thrust equals 10. I don't know. Oh, export variable. And the goal would be to have a couple, like, sets of... So you could, like... It would not be a continuous. It would be a few discrete values of, like, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100% of, like, forward thrust. And then there would be a reverse. And so... we would need to make a function, I think, similar to these inputs. We're really flying by the seat of our pants in this one at the moment. Capture release mouse set, and so then we would have set throttle. I mean, that shouldn't be necessary because I'm gonna probably fix it. Function. So hold on, I guess. How does this work exactly? So we have function unhandled input. Does everything have to go within the same function input? Event, input event. If event is action, elif event is action. How did we do? So if input is action, just press. So we can just do this in a different function. How exactly? If function unhandled input, function input. Do they all have to go within the same function input? Event input event. If event is action, press left. If elif event is action, press UI cancel. So we have an if for integrated forces. Then the camera just works because it's within the physics process. Function input. Called when there is an input event. The input event propagates up through the node tree until a node consumes it. It is only called if input processing is enabled, which is done automatically if this method is overridden, and can be toggled with set process input. To consume the input event and stop it propagating further to other nodes, viewport.setInput as handled can be called. For gameplay input, unhandled input and unhandled key input are usually a better fit as they allow the GUI to intercept the events first. Okay, unhandled input. Called when an input event hasn't been consumed by input or any GUI control item. It is called after shortcut input and after unhandled key input. The input event propagates up through the node tree until a node consumes it. It is only called if unhandled input processing is enabled, which is done automatically if this method is overridden and can be toggled with set process unhandled input. To consume the input event and stop it propagating, set input as handled can be called. For gameplay input, this method is usually a better fit than input, as GUI events need a higher priority. For keyboard shortcuts, consider using shortcut input instead, as it is called before this method. Finally, to handle keyboard events, consider using unhandled key input for performance reasons. I guess we would rather use input to support the eventual inclusion of controller support. Okay, so unhandled input. If is camera motion. So how exactly is unhandled input supposed to look? Is it supposed to just be this big array of if-elif statements? Because like this is specifically the camera input. If and only if the mouse is captured. Right. If is camera motion. Input mouse mode, input mouse mode. Mouse mode captured, camera input direction relative times. So then I guess I would also add, not necessarily an elif, but if input dot event dot is action What was it? Like just pressed? What was that one? Cannon. If input is action just pressed. Event. Wait, okay, so if input is action just pressed. Event dot is, wait, why does that not show up? Input dot, oh, if, okay, not event. Input dot is action just pressed, increased throttle. This is a little bit complicated because if I want to have so I would want a throttle, okay, hold on. Godot arrays. Array. An array data structure that can contain a sequence of elements of any variant type by default. Values can optionally be constrained to a specific type by creating a typed array. Elements are accessed by a numerical index starting at 0. Negative indices are used to count from the back. -1 is the last element. -2 is the second to last. Wait. Got it. That makes sense. Elements are accessed by a numerical index starting at 0. Okay. So var array var throttle equals. So this we would want, I don't know if 0 is a float or not. 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and then maybe -0.33. So this would be reverse. And so then, if input colon, so the goal would be to increase until we hit the array. Can we get details of like the length of the array? Do I need to set it variable throttle? Do I need a like a current throttle variable? Throttle throttle options, and then we would want variable current throttle. I am extremely inconsistent with my naming of variables, I think. I can't decide if I want to do underscores or camel case. It's a problem. Equals 0.0. Okay, so No, I actually want this to be current throttle position, which would just be 0. And so this would be if current throttle position is less than the throttle options dot length current throttle position plus equals current throttle position. So the throttle options dot length is going to give us here. What is length going to give us? I assume that exists. It usually does. Length. Okay, I see a bunch of length in sample code. Function is size returns the number of elements in the array. Empty arrays always return 0. It also is empty. It's an int size constant. So rather than length, maybe I want size. If throttle options dot size, is that more correct? So this is an int with the number of elements in the array. So this is going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we want that to be 4. So if current throttle position is less than... Oh, wait. Actually, that... I don't need that because I'm doing less than rather than less than or equal to. So if current throttle position is less than throttle options dot size, this would be 5. Current throttle position could then be 4. And it would be here. So we increase the current throttle position, and then we set thrust to 0, 0, oh, wait. This should also be 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Position 5. So this does need to be throttle options -1. And then this should be Throttle. Options. Current. Throttle. Position. Times. Max. Thrust. Parentheses. For extra parentheses. Expected closing after group expression. Throttle options. Why are you complaining? Why are you still... What's your problem, huh? What are you complaining about? Throttle options times max thrust. Expected closing parentheses after group expression. I gave it to you. Didn't I? Because this one goes to this one. This one goes to this one. What, do you want one more? What the damn hell? If input is action just pressed, increase throttle. If current throttle position is less than option dot size -1. Then we set current throttle position up by 1, and we set thrust to 0, 0, and then throttle options to the current throttle position times max thrust. Why are you being so hateful? Right? That is how I should be getting that, is array square bracket. Garth has nothing to do with this. Expected closing. Why doesn't this work? Okay, well, let's... First and foremost, does this work? It doesn't. So this just doesn't... Okay, what if we just do this separately then? Variable forward thrust equals throttle options brackets current throttle position times max thrust. And then we can place forward thrust here. Expected. What? Oh. Bracket. What is happening? Why are we inserting? Stop inserting. Nobody ever wants to insert. Why don't you accept this? don't get... Why won't you accept this? What the fuck? But that's how you construct vectors. I guess I need this vector 3. That's what I need. Okay. You know what? Whatever. So then this we can cut out by putting this here now. I don't know why I always have to like cast the vector 3 like that. I don't get it. Okay. So now current throttle position is less than throttle option size -1. And also we're going to put a print. Current throttle plus str dot current throttle position. Is it dot str or is it string parentheses current throttle position? God damn it. How do I str? There we go. I know I can cast this. Just do it. Current throttle position plus string current throttle position. Colon space. Okay. So now if input dot action just is action just pressed. Is action just pressed. Reduce throttle. Then we have again another if current throttle position is I mean, in this case, it would just be is not -1. Then we we do subtract. We do the same thing. I think that should work. This doesn't feel good. I just a line of ifs in unhandled input does not feel good. But I think it will work for the moment. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I reset? Oh no, I'm setting the whole vector. Okay. Let's find out if it works. It doesn't work. It's going through it, but it's setting current throttle position continually to 0. Why though? Current throttle position plus 0 or plus equals should add 1, shouldn't it? Current throttle position equals 0. So like it's not going up. I could literally do it the stupider way, I guess, and just plus 1 minus 1. Do I need to make this clearly an int? Perhaps? I don't see why I would need to clearly make it an int. But I'm gonna. Ooh, wait. Ah, what the heck was that? What? Okay, that's some bizarro behavior. We shouldn't be able to go up to 5. We're checking too soon. If current input is greater than or equal to. This is if it is not -1. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. This needs to be smaller, I think. 0.75. This needs to be higher. Okay. 2. 3. 4. Hey, bro, what the fuck are you doing? God, you're not supposed to be able to get to 6. That's the whole point of this if statement, you dipshit. If current throttle position is less than or equal to throttle options.size. What if I just do length? Maybe I don't need the size. Throttle options.length. Oh, okay. Length is not valid. Size. Okay, can we print throttle dot size? Can we go ahead and print that out for me? Thanks. Size is 6. Why the... Yeah. Why the fuck? Why the fuck? You're only supposed to do this. So the size is 6. Throttle option size 6 minus 1 should be 5. If it is less than... Try that again? Okay, off by 1 error. Classic. Okay, so now we want to change our integrate forces. Because we don't need this. We're not giving this any if at all. It just needs to do so. This is way too much throttle. I was mistaken how much I would need. Hey. All right, we're not out of bounds. Oh my God, we're doing things. We're moving around like I want to. We have a cannon that shoots forward at least. Incredible. 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 It's still too much speed. It's too fast. Oh yeah, the other question I wanted to ask my friend is about scaling. Because we have the gravity and stuff in place. And we're working with ships, so I assume any assets and scale of things need to be on the... A single unit is by default 1 meter in Godot and lots of engines. And so, do I need to scale my models to, you know, hundreds of meters long for a ship, and then scale the game world accordingly? Like, is that a thing I need to do? I think it might be. That's another question I want to ask. On that subject, though, I think we've done a pretty good job. I've made quite a bit of progress. Yeah, and that's why I want to ask, because I know, like, I don't know what other impacts it has if you're, like, everything is at, like, hundreds of meters scale. And it might just feel super weird, so it's like, I don't know where it needs to be. But yeah, I think this is kind of where we're gonna be for this week. Of note on the sort of basic milestone 1, right? Where are we progress-wise? Well, you're just in time. So let me run it again as you're back. So we still have the cannon the same it was, which, you know, it is doing moderate cannon things, which is great. The thing that I went through and did was I changed the behavior of the throttle so that now it's sort of persistent positions. So like this is throttle position 0 where we're not going forward. As I tap forward, now I'm at 50% throttle. I'm at 75% throttle. I'm at full throttle. And then I can tap. And, like, backwards, I've got a backwards. And so that's the other thing that I did. Because I knew I wanted to do that. Because that's, you know, how ships move. And I did so by implementing a throttle options array. And then as a current throttle position as well. Which, honestly, I should... Can you stop doing that? I'm gonna move that down to here. Oh, shit. So, the throttle options, current throttle position, and I can change these throttle options if I don't like how many there are, because I'm working with them in the way that, like, the forward stops, you know, based on the size of the throttle options, and the reduced throttle is always the last position in the array. So we're using, like, -1 for the reverse, which I don't know exactly how correct that is, but I feel like it's one of the more correct things I've done. Aside from, I don't know if it's kind of typical or expected that your unhandled input function is just like a bunch of ifs, in a sense. Because, like, how do we, you know, determine what is what? It feels not correct to just have a big block of if statements, but I'm not exactly sure what else it would be aside from, like, a case block. But for the time being, here, this is where we're at, and it is working, so we're just kind of rolling with this. So, yeah. So, back to our extremely simple milestone 1 that was like, can we get something that functions and is playable? Is we have a player that can move and can shoot a cannon. We can move the camera, but we cannot aim. The cannon does not aim. So that might be the next stop, is to try to get it to aim. We have an open ocean. Well, I don't have the open ocean in the scene. I'll probably do that next time. But I can have an open ocean. No terrain for the moment, for simplicity's sake. And we don't have static targets that we can shoot at. Like, we are close to something that is vaguely called gameplay. Like, we are rapidly approaching something that, in the most generous of terms, is gameplay. It might not be fun. It might not be exhilarating in any capacity, but it is getting to a controllable, like, tech demo thing that does things. So I'm feeling pretty good about that, all things considered. So these are just my goobery blocks that are just there to show movement. Anyway, pretty good. It is pretty straightforward. That is, of course, not the end goal, obviously, but it is the first step in being able to do anything. And, you know, a huge part of it is just learning how these things interact with each other so that you can sort of extrapolate and continue to sort of shift and change. Because ideally, like, things like the cannons will be constructed in such a fashion that they can be reused for allies and enemies, like multiple instances of cannons. I don't think I'm there yet at all, but like once we have static enemies, then we can have sort of, you know, moving enemies on a static trajectory, right? Then we would want enemies that have cannons that shoot back. We need health pools, right? Then we have to start dealing with enemy AI that's like targeting and firing on things of that nature, all kinds of stuff. But that's all complicated challenges for the next time. But honestly, I'm pretty happy about today. We did a pretty good job. We got a cannon that shoots something. It's not perfect, but it does something. And so that, I think, is where I'll end it for today. Thanks for hanging out, Gus, Kiri, both of you. Appreciate it. Seaweaver popped in. I don't know if Seaweaver's still kicking around. I drive Seaweaver insane because he actually makes games. He's got a couple games on Steam. One finished, one in early access. And so I don't know how much he can actually watch without me driving him insane. More progress today than last week. I would say that is true. I mean, a big part of it, of course, is just like compounding knowledge on top, right? That a lot of the things that I used last time were for the rigid bodies. And so now that the projectiles are also rigid bodies, well, we can take what we had last time and build on it. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. I hope you all have a good night. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope your upcoming week is good. I will, of course, return Tuesday for actually just playing games. I don't know what I'm playing right now. I don't know yet. I may play... I've been playing some Pal World. I may play Pal World on stream, either, or I may actually play some, what was it? The Binding of Isaac, because I'd never actually played Binding of Isaac, and I got it insanely cheap at the summer sale. So I may play one of those two. Anyway, I'm rambling. It's late. Have a good night. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.